ground ball. It's kicks off Murphy into right field. Here comes Morrison, and he's going to score. Dobbs lifts a fly ball to left field. Baxter is there. Runner tags. There's the catch and the throw coming home. And safe at the plate. Just getting under it. Driven left field and deep and gone. Olivo with a two-run homer. And the Marlins crack it open here in the 10th.
Back home in Miami are the Fish, who closed AC on. The Brewers are in town. A three-game series starts tonight. The Marlins coming off a mini sweep of the Mets. Hey, look who's in the house. Giancarlo Stanton's hitting third. Marcell Ozuna hitting cleanup. And ladies and gentlemen, hitting fifth, number 5, Logan Morrison. Ricky Lasco says, welcome, boys. Nice to have you along. Maybe some run support for me. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. A weekend where the Marlins played 2 games in 10 hours. We're looking for 15, 16 innings tonight, maybe?
Well, I think we're looking for a little offense. With the change that Mike Redmond has, something he envisioned in spring training, he's going to see it tonight.
Oh, he gets to see Giancarlo Stanton. It'll be interesting to see which Giancarlo Stanton he sees. Remember, Stanton's slow start, but just before he was injured, he got hot.
You know, I want to hold up a warning sign, a warning to everybody. It's going to take a while for him to get his timing back. So you would love to see him come back and swing the bat the way he did right before he was injured. But remember, the first 12 games, he was hitting 163 and did not have a home run. Then he caught fire. He was really swinging the bat well. You would like to see him do that. The odds are he probably won't. It's going to take a few games.
Now, one of the significant impacts of Stanton arriving are those around him, and Marcell Ozuna not only moves up into the cleanup spot, stays between he and Morrison, he's into center field.
Well, look at what he's done the last 13 games. Had a great road trip. He played some center field in winter ball, so it's not a position he's totally unfamiliar with. He'll have a little territory to cover. It's a big center field here at Marlins Park.
And you shouldn't be unfamiliar with the pitching matchup in this one. 2 names that you should know, of course, Coventry Healthcare starters, Ricky Nolasco, Giovanni Gallardo.
Gallardo 3-0 in his career against Miami. They tell us he's had a little problem with velocity. It's down a little bit so far this year. Ricky Nolasco just looking for a little support, but he's been steady. 6 innings or more, 10 of his 13 starts.
Ready for this one? Giancarlo Stanton returns. The impact around the lineup will be felt. We'll discuss when we return for Fish and Brewer. Brewers Marlins. Let's go out to center field. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine.
Thank you very much, Rich. They may not have expected a Dietrich or an Ozuna in the lineup, but those two have been terrific for the Marlins. But they did expect many other names here for this game tonight, and this is exciting kind of for the Marlins here to get Stanton back and Lomo with game number 2.
It's almost like a whole new team, you know. You look at what's going on here with this lineup in the 3-4-5 spot. Mike's Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah.
I still want to call him Mike. Giancarlo Stanton in 3 spot, sandwiched in between with Ozuna and Logan Morrison back. Got 2 hits yesterday, hit the ball very well, so it's going to be an interesting night tonight.
Yeah, we talked with some of the principals, including manager Mike Redmond. Did you have fun making out the lineup today?
I had a lot more fun than I've had. It was a lot easier today than it has been in the past.
I didn't even know it was today, so it was news to me. The big boy showed up and said he was in the lineup. So it's always a good addition when you can add a guy that possibly hit 50 home runs if he, has a full season.
Obviously, the lineup's a lot better, but I'm just happy that I'm finally here to contribute now. It's been a long time, and I'm just glad to be here, and not to mention the guys around me.
For sure, without a doubt, it strengthens our lineup, but it stretches out our lineup too. Where we can drop Dietrich down a little bit farther in the order, and it just gives us a little length to our order and makes our middle of our lineup more of a threat.
Craig, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the movie Hoosiers when Joey, the basketball player, said, "It's time for me to play." That's what Giancarlo Stanton said. It's time for me to play, and now he's in the lineup here tonight.
I didn't see Gene Hackman on the bench, but maybe he'll be showing up. It's great to have him here. I know there was a big lift for the Marlins to have Stanton there, and as Redmond said, to stretch that lineup. You got Dietrich hitting 6th now. That gives you some nice pop toward the end of the lineup. Brantley had 4 hits the other day, and he was bat 8th in this Marlin lineup, and Polanco back there at number 2 with Pierre getting on base more of late too. So we'll see. You're going to have to power for the Brewers because their bats are pretty loud. You may have to answer that in this series to win a couple of games. We'll see what's in store. For Brewers Fish next.
Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible. By Just for Men Auto Stop, the foolproof way to get rid of gray. And by Checkers, feast on. Gorgeous shot of downtown Miami. Giancarlo Stanton arriving out to right field. Marlins Park for the Brewers and the Marlins. Here come the Brewers. Milwaukee has had their issues this year. They come in at 25-37. Norichika Aoki, very solid out in right field. Gene Segura is having an all-star breakout season at short. And so is Carlos Gomez out in center field. Aramis Ramirez hits cleanup. Notice no Ryan Braun, sore thumb tonight. Jonathan Lucroy hits fifth. Logan SCHAFER, one of their top prospects out in left field. Ricky Weeks at second base. Juan Francisco hit a tape measure homer as a Brave in this ballpark earlier this year. And Giovanni Gallardo can hit and he can pitch, and he's hitting ninth.
Well, that's the lineup that Ricky Nolasco is going to be dealing with. He's 2-2 in his career against the Milwaukee Brewers, but an ERA of 7.71. But the whole problem, we've talked about it a lot, Ricky has been steady, he's been solid. His last 4 starts, he's gone into the 7th inning. He just looks for a little support. He would love to get that tonight.
And he's looking for win number 4, career win number 80. Career record holder on just about every Marlin pitching record in the books. Cleveland Clinic brings you the defense.
All right, I want you to pay attention tonight. Juan Pierre's in left. Marcelo Zuna is in center, and Giancarlo Stanton is in right field. Polanco and Echeverria, Dietrich and Lomo around the infield. Rob Brantley will handle Ricky Nolasco.
Pitch Penny brings you the first pitch. Norichika Aoki stands in, and Nolasco misses away with a fastball, and it's 1-0. Aoki, 31 years old, who had a real nice season last year, coming over from Japan. This is his second year as a Brewer. And he's having a very solid year in the leadoff spot. 373 on base percentage, 9 doubles, 4 homers, swiped 10 bags, and is a very good defensive outfielder.
That's kind of what he did last year. Had an on-base percentage over 350, had 37 doubles, had 30 stolen bases.
A standout career in Japan for the Yakult Swallows. 2-1. Smacks it over the head of Morrison and down the line, and Stanton is tested early. Into the corner he goes. Aoki with double number 10. And the Brewers, who can swing the bats, make no mistake about it. The Brewers are not 12 games under because they can't hit. It's because they've had trouble pitching.
Well, fastball right there, and Aoki, who's a contact guy, he's not going to strike out very much. 68 plate appearances now, he hasn't struck out. He laces that ball down the right field line, and you're right about Stanton. We'll have to keep our eye on him. Timing, tough to get that timing defensively as well as offensively.
Gene Segura tries to bunt and fouls it at the plate. A lot of people around baseball are learning about Gene Segura, and what they are learning is he can really play. The Zach Greinke trade, which sent Segura from the Angels to the Brewers, has turned into a terrific trade for Segura and for the Brewers right now. Last year he got in 44 games. And this year he's lit the National League Central on fire. Ozuna sets his feet. It's Stanton that makes the catch. Got 2 pretty good arms out there in Stanton and Ozuna.
Well, just to introduce you a little bit to Gene Segura, who came over in that trade, a lifetime average in the minor leagues of over 300, so he could always hit. He's leading the National League in base hits this year. He can steal bases. 17 stolen bases this year. He has been quite a find and a nice trade for the Brewers.
And seemingly headed towards that All-Star game in New York. The man at the plate has had a real nice season as well, and that's Carlos Gomez. Breaking ball, Gomez lines it into left field. Pierre on the move, picks it. Round third, coming home is Aoki. He'll score. Brantley sort of second is high. That's into center field. Ozuna races after it. He picks it up. Gomez gets to third, and the Marlins throw it all over the diamond and make a mess of that play. The Brewers have a run, and it's 1-0.
There's sometimes, in some ways, you can camouflage bad, and there are sometimes you cannot. This is not a good throw. Everyone knows Juan Pierre's arm below average. JP at least hit the cutoff man. Then Brantley, because he knows there's not a play at the plate, jumps out in front to try to get the runner going to second. He airmails it into center field, and I tell you what, it almost got by Ozuna in center.
So it's an RBI single, and the infield has to come in. The error is on Brantley, but as you pointed out, a mistake to miss the cutoff man and send Gomez all the way to third. And now Ricky has to deal with Aramis Ramirez, a veteran hitter and a good one, 35-year-old, his second year in Milwaukee. He fouls it over the screen.
He's been one of those guys, Rich, you know, when you have him in the lineup with Ryan Braun when he's playing, you get a couple of RBI machines. I mean, Aramis Ramirez has had over 100 RBI 7 times in his career.
Got some sore knee right now, and that has kept him out of the lineup a few times a week.
Yeah, he missed the first 23 games of the season.
But certainly with Ryan Braun out tonight, there's a possibility that Braun may not play in this series as they try to nurse that sore thumb. Ron Renicky hopeful to have his all-star back in left field, but until then he's got to depend on Gomez, Ramirez, LUCROY, the middle of that order, to produce runs. Brewers have produced one already, and Velasco misses in.
First inning's always an important one for Ricky, I think, and we haven't seen the command, the sharpness yet, but we've also seen him struggle in a first inning and then put it together.
Two. And it misses away. The count is full. Last year Ramirez drove in 105 runs. You see LUCROY on deck. Ramirez had 50 doubles last year to go with 27 homers. And he flips it into right field. Stanton comes on, makes the catch, runner tags, and Stanton with a nice two-hop throw that Brantley has, and Gomez has to hold third base.
Well, he's had a couple of opportunities already, chasing a ball down in the corner. Not good base running, supposed to go back on a fly ball line drive. Gomez was able to regroup, but then he realized that ball wasn't very deep.
Now Jonathan LUCROY. You see LUCROY's numbers with the 6 homers, 5 doubles. He had the big series in Philadelphia, and he had a career high 5 hits in one game, going 5 for 5. 2 homers, a double. He drove in 4. It was his 3rd career 2-homer game. And he had Charlie Manuel still muttering about it a few days later when the Marlins came through.
Well, he also, remember, he had 8 hits in the series, hit another home run. But he had a bases clearing triple that was almost a grand slam. It was reviewed, and it was reviewed not a home run, but he came close to having a huge series.
One of his home runs ended up in the flowers in the bullpen in right center. Velasco buries a breaking ball. Milwaukee has a run, and LUCROY with a count 3-0. Logan SCHAFER on deck. Last 4 starts for Velasco, he's been very solid, and he's been able to pitch deep into those ball games. Twice into the 8th, twice into the 7th. Marlins getting a taste of what the Brewers are about. They score,
And they have scored here. Gomez at third. There's 2 outs. And they score again. LUCROY bangs it into center field. So Milwaukee opens this series with a 2-run first, at least so far. And now left fielder Logan SCHAFER comes up.
That's one of those runs that's a big one because Ricky had an opportunity with the fly ball to stand to keep Gomez at third, had an opportunity to get out of this inning, allowing just the 1 run. But the big 2-out hit by LUCROY put that to rest.
Now SCHAFER, who gets the start with Braun on the bench. SCHAFER, a 3rd-round pick back in 2008 out of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Grew up in the San Francisco area. Did get to the big leagues last year for 16 games. The other thing that stings about that run is that Gomez was in scoring position, not only at third, but he shouldn't have even been at second base.
Yeah, he got there on the throw from Juan Pierre to the plate.
And he got to third on the throw by Brantley that nearly went all the way to the wall in center.
And because of all that, it'll be an earned run.
So SCHAFER stands in. Ricky Weeks is on deck. And a breaking ball that misses, and it's 2-1. Nolasco does not look sharp here in the first. Talking about the Brewers' trip into Philadelphia. They were home and played Oakland, dropped 2 of 3 to Oakland, and then took 3 of 4 from Philly, including the last 3. 5-4, 4-3, and 9-1 wins. One of the odd things about this road trip for them, Miami, Cincinnati, and Houston are not the cities, but they've got off days between every stop. An off day between Miami and Cincy, an off day between Cincy and Houston.
Yeah, right now Ricky's struggling with the control and command. That was his 3rd 3-ball count. And you can see a little bit of concerned look from Chuck Hernandez.
Well, as we told you, Nolasco in the 4 games, his last 4, an ERA of 3.07. Twice pitched into the 8th, and the other 2 games he got as far as pitching into the 7th inning. At this rate, that's not going to happen. He's got 23 pitches already, and it's a very un-Nolasco-like ball-strike ratio. 12 balls, 11 strikes. Ricky Weeks.
You know, it's really interesting. We told you before the game, Ricky 2-2 in his career against Milwaukee, but an ERA of over 7. So it has been a club that he has struggled against at times.
There's a lot of pitchers that have struggled against the Brewers, to be honest with you.
Over the years, yeah.
This group of Brewers especially has scored a ton of runs in the Ryan Braun era, especially when Prince Fielder was there. Corey Hart as well. Hart is out. The Brewers were hopeful to have him back, but he has a nerve issue in the knee in which he had offseason surgery. He was running around the bases before the ball game tonight. Weeks is sitting on a 2-0 pitch right now.
Boy, he had the kind of 2-0 swing you like to see hitters have.
He had the kind of swing he had when he was at Southern University and winning the Golden Spikes Award. Lake Brantley High School, Altamont Springs, up in the Orlando area.
He had an incredible collegiate career.
He set an NCAA record when he hit 473. See the numbers he has against Nolasco. Brewers at first and second. And a tapper in the hole. Echeverria, nice play. And that'll save a run. Without a doubt, it saves a run. So Weeks is aboard with the infield hit.
This is all Echeverria is trying to do right here. He realizes, as he's going after that ball, he realizes he's not going to have a play at first base, but he also knows there are runners at first and second, and he wants to keep that run from scoring. So by getting to it, even though he didn't get an out, that was a nice effort.
Brewers in looking for some pop. Signed Juan Francisco. And the Marlins are certainly aware of Francisco and the power that he brings. Francisco started the year with the Atlanta Braves. In fact, played against the Marlins in this ballpark as a Brave. And he hit one of the longest home runs we've seen hit in this ballpark.
Yeah, he, as a left-handed hitter, he's hit one of the longest ones here.
Watch this. Wow. That's off that sign that's up above the center field wall. Here's the 0-1. That was off of Alex Sanabia.
Yeah, over the Wellmax Medical Center side. Almost straightaway center field.
Ball and a strike, and the bags are loaded. And a rough inning could become a really ugly inning here with one swing of the bat. Nolasco trying to get out of it and limit the damage. A Brewer at every base. LUCROY, SCHAFER, and Weeks.
We've seen him try that curveball, and the spinner just isn't in the strike zone, and guys are laying off of it.
Elevates the fastball, and Francisco nearly tore himself in two.
Good spot for the fastball. Francisco, an outstanding low fastball hitter, and Ricky kept it up in the zone.
Randi Institute brings you Fox Tracks. So the countdown 2-2. Francisco stays alive and fouls it back.
You know, in the back of his mind, and I think it was a couple of starts ago, Ricky, when we had him on after the game, mentioned that it was the type of game that he knew he had that curveball in his back pocket the whole time. He'd love to bring out that curveball right here. If he misses, it'll go 3-2, though. That's one of the things that I'm sure Rob Brantley and Ricky are thinking about.
LUCROY at third, SCHAFER at second, Weeks at first. Brewers have two already in the top of the first. And he did. He brought it out of the back pocket and down around the back foot, and he gets a strikeout. A much needed one after Milwaukee scores twice. Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Roof shut, AC on. Marlins and Brewers. And Milwaukee has a 2-run head start. Marlins lineup. And here it is, Pierre Polanco and, yes, Giancarlo Stanton in the 3 spot. Marcell Ozuna hits cleanup, and Logan Morrison slots 5th. Derek Dietrich down to 6th. Danny Echeverria hits 7th. Rob Brantley in the 8th spot. Ricky Nolasco hits 9th.
The area of concern for Yovani Gallardo so far this year, because you see the ERA 5.25. That's just unlike Gallardo. Last year he was 16-9 and had a 3.66 ERA. The area of concern is the velocity's down a little bit. Not only on the fastball, but the bite on the curveball. So that's what the Brewers will keep their eye on tonight.
Juan Pierre, Placido Polanco, and then Giancarlo Stanton. And Pierre takes a ball. It's 1-0. Pierre on a nice run right now. He's pumped his average up to 240. He was 2 for 6 in yesterday's ball game. He had 3 hits in New York. Had 5 hits in Philly. Vic Carapazza joining the telecast, calling balls and strikes. Two-1 from the 27-year-old. And it's 2-2. Out of Mexico. Went to high school in Fort Worth, Texas. Tremble Tech High School. Now, that's a high school that sounds like it belongs in Texas. It was a the 2nd round draft pick in 2004 of the Brewers. Pierre rolls one out towards Gene Segura. Whips it across in time. And there's an out here in the bottom of the 1st. Here are the Brewers defensively, and it's brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
Well, we'll give you the names with Logan SCHAFER, Carlos Gomez, and Nori Aoki, the right fielder. Ramirez, Gene Segura, Ricky Weeks, Juan Francisco, and Jonathan LUCROY behind the plate. The Brewers, as a team, they've made 41 errors on the year. The Marlins 37, just to make that comparison. Marlins kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, Marlins have improved up to 7th in the 15-team National League. Here's Polanco now, and he takes a strike. Marlins would like to see Polanco's bat get going. It's been a struggle for the veteran third baseman, who was ill this past week, returned in New York, and after a week of being sick, he found himself in the middle of a 6.5-hour 20-inning game on Saturday.
Well, he's back home now. Hopefully the strength has gotten back 100%. He's had a nice career against the Brewers.
Gallardo really saws him off. Ramirez backs up and then fires across in time. A couple of ground ball outs for Gallardo to open his night. What else do we know about Yovani Gallardo?
Well, we've told you a little bit about the right-hander out of Fort Worth, Texas. We know that his velocity's down a little bit. Generally, he has pretty good command. His out pitch, when he has it, is that 12-6 curveball. Watch out when he comes to the plate. Yovani Gallardo, one of the best, if not the best, hitting pitcher in the league. 12 career home runs.
Stanton comes up and he takes outside. For Giancarlo Stanton, it was a really odd start to his season. Psychologically, it was tough for Stanton to wrap his arms around what opposing pitchers were doing to him or against him. Were they pitching to him? Were they pitching around him? It seemed that when they were pitching around him, he was swinging. When they were pitching to him, he wasn't swinging. Finally, he got it figured out, and that's when he blew out his hamstring with a grade 2 strain. A high chopper, Segura backhands and throws across in time to get Stanton. Gallardo looks sharp, and the Brewers are off to a 2-0 lead. Carlos Stanton, a bouncer in the hole at short and running down first base. That's his first test.
You know, this is what you need. You want Giancarlo to stay under control. You don't want him to bust it down and for fear of another hamstring pull. You want him in the lineup, so you want him going up the line just like that. And you know what? The more times you do that, just under control, pretty soon that hamstring's going to heal and he's going to be just fine.
All right, here's Gallardo, and Tommy warned you about Gallardo. One of the very best hitting pitchers in the game. Already with a couple of home runs. And he turns on one and fouls it. Counts 0-2.
It's not unusual for Ron Renicky, his manager, to use him as a pinch hitter occasionally.
There is Ron Renicky in his third season. Renicky, a longtime member, Mike Scioscia's Angel staff. No swing. He and Joe Madden were quite close.
Well, you got the Renicky, the Madden, the Buddy Black.
All coming from Mike Scioscia's group. And Renicky, much like Madden, very progressive when it comes to defensive shifts. Very progressive when it comes to the running game and taking the extra base.
Hasn't had the pitching that Joe Madden's had.
No, the Rays have done a terrific job of drafting and developing young arms. Although one of their young arms is having a rough night tonight.
Oh, Alex Cobb. An inning against the Red Sox. 7 hits, 6 runs for Boston in the first inning.
Velasco, good breaking ball. And he gets the strikeout.
Good sign. Let's see if he can find that breaking ball now.
Marlins and Brewers tomorrow night. A 7:10 start. You pick up the Tuesday edition of the Miami Herald. Take advantage of the half-price Tuesday offer. Get up to 8 half-price tickets in Legend Silver, Baseline Reserve, Bullpen Reserve, or Home Run Porch. Visit the Marlins Park ticket office or go to marlins.com.
Remember, Ricky found the curveball to strike out Francisco with the bases loaded, and then made a good pitch to strike out Gallardo there.
Now Aoki, who started everything with a screaming liner over the head of Morrison at first. Lomo in game 2. And was put through his paces before the batting practice session of the Marlins by Perry Hill. Here's the 2-0. And it's a strike outside corner. Perry Hill out there working with Morrison, and I think both Lomo and Hill would admit that there is still work to be done for Morrison as a first baseman.
Yeah, I think the key for Lomo to improve as a first baseman is footwork.
Nifty footwork to get out of the way of that pitch by Aoki. The other key for Morrison to improve at first base, as we watch Aoki get out of the way, is that he's at first base, which it's got to be somewhat settling to his mind. A guy who has had to play left field for, what, 2.5 seasons. Another shot. Stanton gets to this one. Aoki will stop there. And he's got himself a 1-out single.
And a 2-for-2 night so far.
Brewers like to run. Aoki has swiped 10 bags this year. Gene Segura now.
With Segura up there, you don't expect him to walk very often. Just 11 walks and almost 250 at bats.
He's done a lot of damage in the 2 spot for a guy with speed and 17 stolen bases, a .545 slugging percentage, 9 homers, 7 doubles, 8 triples.
So a lot of talk of the young shortstops from Curacao. Segura's from the Dominican. So there's some talented shortstops in this league.
Sprays a ground ball. Dietrich bobbles and then gets the out at first. That's the play, a similar play that Daniel Murphy had trouble with in yesterday's ball game. Late in the game, the ball that kicked off of Murphy's glove and into right field that helped the Marlins to that big inning.
You know what I like, though? The fact that he bobbled and then he calmly, once he bobbled, said, okay, I can't get the out at second. Let me get the out at first base. He didn't panic.
Gomez, who drove in a run with a single in the first, and Aoki's back out there at second. Gomez swings and fouls it back. Carlos Gomez, an enigmatic outfielder. Remember, an original Met. Went to the Brewers in the Johan Santana trade. Actually went to Minnesota in the Johan Santana trade with Philip Umber. Then he went to the Brewers from the Twins in a J.J. Hardy deal. And it's taken him a while to, I don't know if blossom is the right word, or maybe get it all under control.
I think that's a good description.
But maybe this year is the year that that's happened for him.
The Brewers think so because they've given him a 3-year contract through 2016.
Swing and a miss at a breaking ball.
But he, along with Segura, a couple guys who don't walk much. Gomez only walked 11 times as well.
Count 1 and 2 here. Nolasco's pitch count is an astronomical 48. There's Aoki. He scored after doubling in the first. He singled here in the second. 1-2. And Ricky misses. Gomez doesn't go after the breaking ball in the dirt. And now Nolasco with a full count. And Ramos Ramirez on deck. May have to come at Gomez with something better.
For a while that curveball was there. Lately he's missed with it. It's in and out.
Off speed, little looper, center field, falls. Ozuna has it. His throw to the plate is not in time. Aoki scores again. And it's Gomez who knocks him in again. On a play that was a lot closer than you thought. A terrific throw by Ozuna.
If this ball is hit sharply, there's a real good chance that Ozuna makes the play at the plate. But it wasn't hit hard. And with 2 out, Aoki on the move and was able to just sneak around Rob Brantley. Good effort by Marcell Ozuna on a ball that wasn't hit all that hard. Look at the slide, just touching the plate.
Had a nifty move by Aoki to get around Brantley.
Brantley did a good job trying to keep him off the plate.
Gomez has stolen 12 bags. He's at first with 2 outs. Nolasco chases him back. So the Brewers already have 6 hits and 3 runs, and Nolasco has recorded 5 outs. Remember, this is a Milwaukee team without Corey Hart and without Ryan Braun tonight. Braun with a sore thumb.
Good jump and an easy stolen base. Gomez gets his 13th.
Well, he's on his way certainly to a 2020 season, and who knows, with a nice run, he could be a 30-30 guy this year. 19 home runs last year, 37 stolen bases last season.
Fastball up and in, and it's 2-0. This is the last thing that Mike Redmond needed after spending a weekend in New York playing 10 hours and 30 innings. Is a short start. So he's in need of Nolasco to get it together, and he better do it quickly because it's against a club that can roll up big numbers quickly.
Well, we can expound on that too. The fact that because of the 7 innings Kevin Slowey pitched in the 20-inning game, he was backed up. He's going to pitch Wednesday instead of Tuesday. But tomorrow will be Jacob Turner. He's okay. But in the Wednesday game, you don't expect Slowey to go more than 5 innings, and you're going to need the bullpen Wednesday.
Stanton is there, and he makes the catch. Milwaukee adds another and leads it by 3.
The second inning, Milwaukee leading the Fish 3-0 here early on. Derek Dietrich coming here on May the 8th in a situation where Releko went down, and what a job he's done, enough so that Mike Redmond announced today that Dietrich will remain his starter even with Donovan Solano healthy and now at AAA.
And I know anybody that's played this game, you understand, we've seen a lot of guys get hurt and they just never make it back, and it happens. You know, but testament to Dietrich. He's come out, he's done a great job, and he's won that job.
Yeah, he's won it because he's reached base in 25 of 27, a very loud 229. Don't get stuck on the average. He's at 5 homers. 4 of them have tied the game as Marcell Ozuna comes up. 1 has given the Marlins the lead. He's knocked in 13. I know he did have that little miscue in the last inning, did get an out on it, but overall, guys, put a very good defense, especially turned the double play nicely with that arm of his, which is used to playing the other side of the infield. So Dietrich's your man at second, and right now, at least, Donovan Solano is in AAA.
All right, thank you, Craig. And right now, Giovanni Gallardo is feeding his infielders ground balls. The roster moves made today with Stanton off the disabled list. Casey Kochman goes on the oblique that he tweaked the other day, has him on the DL. Joe Mahoney brought off the DL, option to New Orleans. Solano, same deal. Both have options, and both will go to New Orleans. And hopefully, both will get hot. The Marlins could use Solano, and certainly when he's hot, he can be a very nice piece in the infield. But one thing that Solano has going for him is he can play shortstop and play it well.
Well, that's got to be the thinking if you're Donovan Solano. I'm going to get back to the big leagues because I can play third, short, and second, and he can have a nice career, if not as an everyday player, certainly playing a lot. And an interesting answer to a question I asked Lomo today. I asked him about his time away from the game, rehabbing, and he said, what'd you think about it? And he said, first of all, he thought about a lot of the games early in the year that the team was losing, and he hated seeing that. And the other thing he said there was some doubt. He said, I had some doubt as to whether I could come back healthy and timing and the whole thing.
Well, it's very different. I mean, if you tie Morrison's return with Stanton's return, completely different. Because Morrison had his second surgery on that knee, and the rehab was much more painful. Many more questions to be answered, as you mentioned. And so for Morrison, he woke up yesterday morning and caught an early flight out of Birmingham, burst into the clubhouse wearing the street clothes, carrying a big bag of bats, and just walked right into the manager's office and said, where am I hitting, Skip? And Redmond had him in the lineup and in the ball game, and Morrison said it felt like the first time he got called up. Had to remember where first base was.
It's in the same place it's always been. Boy, he hit some line drives. He had a couple of hits, so that was good to see. I also read where in the 20-inning game the day before, he had sent a text to Redmond saying, if you need a pitcher, I'll show up. I'll come down. Little did he know that he would be in the ballgame the next day at first base.
Morrison walks, and here is Dietrich. Giovanni Gallardo sharp in the first. His 4 outs have all been ground balls to the left side, 3 of them to Gene Segura at short. And it's out, and it's 2-1. I think having Dietrich and Morrison on the same side of the infield and close together in the lineup is going to be fun to watch because they're both very similar in makeup.
Yeah, they are.
And intensity.
It's a safe bet to say that's an intense right side of the infield.
Dietrich, who finds himself right now in the 6th spot in the order, he's a guy that could profile in different places in the order.
Yeah, I was talking to Mike Redmond about that today and asked him if he had ever thought about Dietrich in the number 2 spot. He certainly has, but what he doesn't want to do, especially with Juan Pierre leading off, is have at the top of the lineup back-to-back left-handed hitters. But I think down the road, absolutely.
Dietrich strikes out. Echeverria is coming up. Our poll question is presented by AT&T. Bob Uecker. Favorite Bob Uecker role? Harry Doyle or George Owens? If it's Harry, it's hashtag Uke Doyle. If it's George, it's hashtag Uke George.
Well, that's, I mean,
Mr. Belvedere.
We all love Mr. Belvedere, but
we
come
do?
on. I mean, that's not even close.
Wait a minute here. You and I have felt a lot like Harry Doyle at times this year, haven't we?
Who can forget Harry Doyle?
Echeverria lines it into the seats. There's the Twitter poll.
Uke said he's feeling good. Health problems. He had a couple health problems a few years ago, but he said he's fine, feeling good now.
Oh, 2 to Miami's 22-year-old Cuban shortstop.
I think somewhere down the road you could see Echeverria hitting in the number 2 spot. Maybe not this year, but I think that would be a fit for him possibly.
Gallardo's breaking ball misses out. It's 2-2. Well, it's one of the challenges for any of the young Marlins. They're given an opportunity to play at the big leagues, and certainly Dietrich, Ozuna, Echeverria, Brantley have had their moments. Ozuna's moment has been probably burning brightest for a while now. Gallardo thought he had a strikeout. But the challenge is to produce enough to stay in the big leagues. I mean, it's one thing to get here and have lots of promise and potential, but after you're here for a while, if you're unable to produce, and I'm not saying that they're not, but I think every young player faces that in any organization.
I think what you and I have enjoyed the most in watching the young guys that you mentioned, Jose Fernandez, Ozuna, they have not looked overmatched, and when they've had their down moments, they've handled it well. They've not buried themselves. They've been able to make adjustments.
Gallardo's 3-2. Fastball, he threw it right by him. And down goes Echeverria. Our telecast tonight is in high definition thanks to H.H. Gray. Milwaukee an early lead, a 3-0 lead. And our telecast is copyrighted and presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Do they have to read that over on Spanish? I mean, do Cookie and Raul have to do?
I think they do, but I think they read it in Espanol too.
El disclaimer.
See,
I'd like to read it in Spanish one night. Would it still be legal if I did it in Spanish?
yeah, I think so.
Let's do that. LUCROY. And Velasco gets a strike. Logan SCHAFER, Ricky Weeks. In the third, LUCROY out of Umatilla, Florida. University of Louisiana, Lafayette. Remember last year, he missed 2 months with a fractured hand. He had a really nice year last year. He hit .320 and he slugged .513. And after an RBI hit here, he rolls one out to short, and Echeverria takes care of him. Jacob Turner gets the baseball for the Fish tomorrow. Willie Peralta for the Brewers, a right-hander. And here's SCHAFER, the start in left field. If you've just joined us, Ryan Braun is not in the lineup. The thumb will take some time to mend. The Brewers are trying to avoid disabled list time. Ron Renicky, as we pointed out, has the luxury on this road trip of having a couple of off days, which is really rare.
It's pretty rare.
A road trip. And it's not like the Brewers are going out west or anything like that. They're going to Cincinnati and Houston. So an off day in the Natty, and then an off day at the Galleria Mall in Houston.
Spent some time there.
Or you can go out to...
we've spent a few hours in the Galleria Mall.
You could go out to Pinto Ranch and pick out some nice cowboy
boots. Yeah.
In Houston.
That's good Pinto.
That's right. Here's the 2-0. It's a strike. And it's 2-1. Of course, it was Reniel Pinto who came over with Nolasco in the Juan Pierre trade from the Cubs. Ricky gets a strike. Evens the count at 2-2 on Logan SCHAFER. SCHAFER's 26. Spent most of last year in Nashville. Pulls one. Morrison races to the bag and gets there in time. Well, it's going to take a little while. Perry Hill had Morrison today working mainly on footwork.
So we got a couple of coaches. You were telling me Joe Espada working with Marcelo Zuna in center field.
Well, and with
Hawk.
With Hawk. Hawk was out in center. Espada was hitting the fly balls. Some early work by Lomo with Perry Hill.
Footwork earlier today. So that's the key. That's the key for Lomo. Get the right footwork and everything falls into place. And with Ozuna, with the fact that he played center field in winter ball, he'll get comfortable out there too.
Andre Dawson told Ozuna today the biggest thing you're going to be challenged with is you're in charge. You're the one that gets to tell the guy to your right and your left that that's your ball, and you go get it. And by the way, you're playing with a guy on your left who isn't going to run real well and a guy on your right who can't throw real well. That one is drilled left field and deep and gone. Ricky Weeks runs into one and sends it out of here. His 5th of the season. His 2nd hit of the ball game, and the Brewers just keep adding on.
Well, he came into the game hitting 199. He turned around the curveball. I want to say watch what it does, but it's better to say watch what it doesn't do. Just kind of hung there, and Ricky Weeks was all over it.
Francisco fouls one back. The Brewers have hit 60 home runs. They're in the upper third in the National League. The biggest issue for the Brewers is that they've given up more homers than anybody in baseball. The Brewers have given up 82 homers. But of course the Marlins
have hit 31 in comparison with those 60 Brewer long balls.
Way on the opposite end of the spectrum. Toyota trend, Milwaukee, when they hit a homer or at least at 500, when they don't go deep, they're significantly worse. And Lasco now with a count 2-2. Francisco came up originally in the Reds organization. Ricky gets him again with that back foot breaking ball. But the Brewers get another. Ricky Weeks homering to left. The Fish with 7 hits and 4 runs already. Wednesday, you can't have a Brewers promo without the racing sausages. Wednesday night, kids eat free. Kids in attendance get a voucher for a free KM Beef Frank, a bag of Frito-Lay chips, and a small Pepsi or Aquafina water. Go to Marlins.com now. I have one of the racing sausage bobbleheads on my desk at home.
Which one? Chorizo?
You know it.
I know you love chorizo.
Yes.
I like Italian, and I like to mix him with peppers. I have peppers and Italian sausage.
I believe I have Frankfurter as the Christmas ornament on the Christmas tree. Rob Brantley taps out to Gallardo, the beneficiary of the 4 runs. Gallardo looks like the guy that was an all-star in 2010, that was 7th in the Cy Young voting in 2011, and that won 16 games and had a 3.66 ERA last year.
Well, this guy has been their best pitcher by far over the last few years. He's had 4 straight years of 200 or more strikeouts. He's averaged 15 wins the last 4 years. That's why it was a surprise to us when you looked at his numbers and saw the 4-6 record with the 5.25 ERA.
Velasco fouls it back.
I got a couple of great names for you. It's always fun to go back in history with franchises. And Gallardo right now is number 3 on their franchise list in strikeouts.
Oh, he's closing in.
He's closing in on number 2.
He's closing in on 1,000, right?
Yeah, number. He's got 2 tonight, so 998. At 1,081, the left-hander Teddy Higuera.
Liner, and Velasco's got himself a hit. It's in the gap. SCHAFER cuts it off, and Ricky's aboard. And the Marlins have their first hit, and it's Velasco.
And the Brewers' all-time strikeout leader with 1,206 is the right-hander Ben Sheets. Good stroke by Ricky, his 3rd base hit of the year.
Brewers have had some dominant starting pitchers that haven't been there a long time. Think about Don Sutton, CC Sabathia, briefly. Now Pierre with Velasco at first. Pierre bounced to short, his first time up. Well, the Marlins have seemingly solved the middle of their order with Stanton back. Pierre drives into right field, a base hit. Aoki picks it up. Runners first and second with one out, and here comes Polanco.
With this base hit, Juan Pierre now a 7-game hitting streak, and continues just to spray line drives, get some base hits.
Marlins have now that middle of the order assembled with Stanton, Ozuna, and Morrison. The trick will be getting the top of the order going. Pierre seems to have come to life with the bat. The Marlins need Polanco to get rolling. They need to put some guys on base when Stanton, Ozuna, and Morrison come up. Rolling breaking ball for a strike. Polanco's 0 for 1 in this one. Placido's numbers overall, he's hitting it at just .228. His slugging percentage is lower than his on-base percentage. His slugging percentage down in the 250s. And a little tapper up the middle, out there. Weeks' turn, out there. And Polanco rolls into a double play, and the Marlins' third is over. 4-0, Milwaukee. On top of Miami, Marlins Park. Night falling here. Moments ago, Greg Dobbs saluting South Florida heroes here on this Monday night. And that's a tradition that the Marlins have started this year. Those that are serving in the military, police, fire, first responders, all able to get free tickets. Go to marlins.com for more information. Ricky Nolasco has been knocked around a little bit here. He's given up 4 runs in 3 innings.
Yeah, some would say, well, you got the pitcher leading off this 4th inning. Maybe you can get things going, but we've talked about the way Gallardo swings the bat. 12 career home runs, 2 this year.
Most in franchise history by a pitcher. Of course, that franchise history spent a lot of time with a designated hitter in the American League before the Brewers made the jump. Out to Dietrich, and Velasco has an out.
Rich, you were talking about some of the big name pitchers who've passed through. That year that CC Sabathia, the half a year when he was traded from Cleveland to Milwaukee, he was 11-2 with a 1.65 ERA at 17 starts, 7 complete games, and 3 shutouts.
And they worked him on short days rest a lot down the stretch.
They rode him hard.
It's a foul ball. It hit Aoki in the box.
Yeah, home plate umpire Vic Carapazza right on it. Mike Redmond questioning, did it hit him while he was still in the batter's box, which is what Carapazza said. And Red just wants some clarification, or thinking maybe it hit him while he was out of the box.
Or maybe he's asking for Carapazza to ask for help. Here's a look. It's close.
It's close. If you're going to ask for help there, you'd ask the third base umpire, because he's got a good view.
I think he was still in the box. That other foot had not come down out of the box. And it hits Aoki, who has the apparatus on the elbow. Though apparently it didn't blunt the force. You could see Aoki in some pain.
He's got it all. The ankle guard, the elbow, the elbow shield. It might have gotten just above it a little bit. But either way, it's the third straight time he's reached base.
You can see Brantley pointing to the inside of the plate, trying to sell Carapazza on the fact that the pitch wasn't that far in and that maybe Aoki had leaned across, and he's still talking with Carapazza about it. There's the Fox track.
It's off the plate, clearly. But you say, okay. Boy, that's not that far inside. And you know what? If that's the way you're going to make your living, you're going to get stung a few times. But that's clearly what Brantley's talking to Carapazza about.
There's a grounder out towards short. Out there. Out there. Velasco gets a double play. Nicely turned by Echeverria and Dietrich. This is The End in theaters June 12th. By Honda. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. And by Kaiser University, now offering degrees in sports management. Learn more at kaiseruniversity.edu. Live shots from the Goodyear blimp. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned, making tires that go the distance, inspire what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. You can see the clouds coming across the Miami skyline. Giovanni Gallardo to work with a breaking ball to Giancarlo Stanton. Now that looks calm and peaceful. If anyone is watching baseball around the dial tonight and is watching the game from Wrigley Field, it is, I don't know if that's fog or mist or what it is. We just got a peek of it. But remember that football game they played, I think it was a postseason game at Soldier Field in Chicago. Or was that it? It was at Soldier Field, wasn't it? Was it the Eagles and the Bears, where it was so foggy you couldn't see the players? It's close to that at Wrigley Field right now. 1-1 pitch. Stanton fouls it out of play. Stanton's second at bat. In his first at bat, he bounced to short and ran down to first and looked fine running.
Well, if you think about it, today is June 10th, and Giancarlo injured that hamstring back on April 29th. That extra inning game, that long game against the Mets here. You know, you went back and it was kind of an odd spring and everything for Giancarlo. Remember, he was on Team USA in the World Baseball Classic and was healthy and played well during the tournament.
And then when the bell rang for Stanton, it was a real puzzle, and I think for a young hitter, he had a real tough time trying to figure out exactly what pitchers were trying to do to him.
And he had a little shoulder soreness. And then when he started figuring it out, there was about a 7 or 8 game period, and that's when he injured the hamstring.
Bounce into center field, base hit. Stanton has had some good swings tonight. And so Giancarlo opens up the 4th inning with a base hit. Marcell Ozuna, Logan Morrison following.
Well, he still hits as hard at ground balls as you're going to see. He gets that top spin, and they get through the infield as fast as you're going to see. I mean, we talk about his mammoth home runs, but he hits some of the hardest balls on the ground that you're ever going to see.
Well, actually, there's proof of that. We've said it for, the last 2 or 3 years. And here's the proof. This year, the hardest hit balls in play, Giancarlo Stanton has the top 3. Now, HitTrackerOnline.com. There's a breaking ball for a strike. HitTrackerOnline.com measures home run distances, but they also measure the exit speed off the bat of those home runs. And to my knowledge, Stanton's home run against Jamie Moyer is still the fastest ball ever recorded off the bat since they've been doing that. And I want to say they've been doing it for 4, 5, 6 years.
The other thing about those 3 numbers on that list, the first one he hit, it was a double play ball.
Ozuna now. He bounced to short back in the 2nd. The 2-1.
I think the other thing, Mike Redmond has options with these 3 guys, and when I say 3, Stanton, Ozuna, and Morrison. Get to a point if Ozuna cools off a little bit and Stanton doesn't see much to hit because they'd rather pitch to Ozuna, you could flip-flop, you could put Morrison, so you can be maneuverable with those 3 hitters, depending on who's pitching and how they're swinging the bat.
Ozuna swings and misses and goes down. Gallardo gets him, and here comes Morrison.
So for Gallardo, strikeout number 999. See, if you knew that on the bench, you tell yourself you don't want to be 1,000.
Morrison walked back in the second. Lomo essentially playing on one leg last year, and for that matter, a lot of 2011 as well.
So different watching him take batting practice now, watching the lower half, his foundation.
We've had that conversation about guys who are not afraid to hit with 2 strikes, and Morrison would fall in that category. Ball and a strike here. 4-0 Milwaukee here. Giovanni Gallardo, who's not pitched well this year, though his last time out, according to his pitching coach Rick Kranitz, they saw probably his best stuff of the year.
And a couple of those runs later in the game were given up by a relief pitcher who came in with some of Gallardo's runs on base.
Counts 2-1. Morrison's got himself in a 2-1 count. Dietrich's on deck. Stanton's at first. And a chopper, and just getting up is Francisco, and the throw and the tag in time. Morrison nearly got it over Francisco, and that would have been extra bases. As it is, it's a double play. 4-0 Brewers on top after 4. Back after this injury prevention message from the Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Gorgeous shot, Miami. Night has fallen. Brewers up 4-0. Time now for the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat for the Brewers. April was good. They were scoring runs. The ERA was manageable. But then May wasn't so good. You can see the runs were down and the ERA up at 15 under since April. Carlos Gomez, big breaking ball, big swing, and a big pop-up. Polanco is there, and he makes the catch, and we check in with Craig Minervini.
Thank you, Rich. I'm way out in center field. Today, Mike Redmond, by the way, told us there was no consideration to keeping Marcell Ozuna at right and moving Stanton perhaps over to left, because the Marlins really feel that Ozuna is going to play center field very well. He's got the speed, he's very athletic, he's got the arm, and Joe Espada, who works with the guys in terms of the outfield, said he also has a take-charge mentality. He said that's very important in center. Joe told me, and many others will tell you around baseball, that center field is the easiest position to play because the ball is a true read. You don't have that fade or drift as you would in the corner positions. And he said Ozuna naturally is a take-charge guy, a leader guy. The one thing that is key, though, is getting used to guys on both sides of you and being able to communicate with a Stanton over there in right or a JP over there in left, but they're not worried about that. The other thing is they like him playing shallow, but very often when you're new to a position, you play deep. I'll tell you this, he is way in compared to the Brewers outfield, especially in center field, much closer. And that's where they want him. They'd rather him cut off the plays in front than have to worry about playing too deep and letting a lot of balls drop. Guys?
All right, thank you, Craig. A little help from his friends.
Boy, a lot of guys pitching in. That's what you need, too. See, when you go for that pop fly in the other dugout, you don't get that kind of help. First inning, Rich, for Ricky threw 33 pitches. He's thrown 46 pitches since then. So he's put it together. Even though the Brewers got single runs in the second and the third.
Pitching with one out here in the fifth. Pitch number 81 is outside.
I've always thought Ramos Ramirez, who's up there now, over the years was one of the best fielding third basemen that never won a Gold Glove. Because he does a nice job over there.
Ramirez strikes out here. He's always been known for run production. He's had 7 years where he's driven in over 100 runs. He's played, I guess, in the if you think about the Gold Gloves at third base in his time.
It's been a tough time when you think about Scott Rowland.
There's LUCROY, RBI single in the first. Bounced out in the third.
It's amazing, these two teams, the Marlins and the Brewers, over the years. Marlins have won 55 and lost 54.
LUCROY swings and misses.
Good trivia question. Last year's Gold Glove third baseman. We've seen him already.
In the National League?
National League. He had a terrific offensive year, too, which helped. West Coast. Fish tacos.
Ah, San Diego.
Chase Headley.
Yep. That's right. Headley had the great RBI numbers and the great fielding percentage. LUCROY can really swing the bat. He's got a couple of hits. And the Brewers have a runner aboard with 2 outs.
You know, he's a guy, you look at him, he's not built like a catcher. You don't think of a, huskily built, squatty body type catcher. He's kind of average size.
Kind of a Jason Kendall type.
But boy, he does the job, yeah. He had a nice swing.
Logan SCHAFER now.
SCHAFER will be the odd man out, possibly when they get Ryan Braun back, certainly. And Juan Francisco will be the odd man out when Corey Hart comes back, because he's been playing a little first base.
Braun seemingly will be back before Hart. That one over the head of Rickey and into center field. That's a base hit. And the Brewers have now banged out 9 hits against Nolasco. And that brings Weeks up, who's homered and singled.
Yeah, the line on Corey Hart is that, and you hear this often, actually you like to hear a player say this, he expects to be back in a couple weeks. The ball club thinks probably a little longer than that, more likely in July.
Well, I think with Hart, you're looking at a rehab stint in the minor leagues, in minor league games. With Braun, they're just trying to figure out what they can do to calm down the bruise in that thumb, which is aggravated by hitting. And obviously that's what Braun does best. It speaks to how good a hitter Braun is that he was still getting hits. He just wasn't driving the ball and getting extra base hits. Weeks waits 0-1. And it's 0-2. For Weeks, his average has just poked its head over 200. Now at 207. Now he has 5 home runs. Last year a 21 home run and a 29 double season. I think the Brewers had always hoped he would be a top of the lineup type guy, but he's never had the on base percentage consistently.
He's had some wrist injuries, some DL time. Younger brother Jamal, who had a couple of decent years with Oakland, this year spent all year in AAA with the Athletics, having a pretty good year in AAA. Amazing. The Brewers tonight, with runners in scoring position, are 4 for 8. In the 2 games at Citi Field, the Mets were 2 for 27.
Yeah. Including 0 for 19 in the 20-inning game.
There were some crazy stats that came out of that 20-inning game.
That 0 for 19 was an all-time low for the Mets. You would think that would be an all-time low for just about anybody. Here's the 2-2. Weeks in his center field. And it's caught there by Ozuna. 4-0. Brewers.
Español está disponible por SAP.
So they have their cameras ready just in case Cookie and Raul come on, and there they are.
Echavarría y hey,
Hi,
Rich,
guys.
Tommy, what's up?
Richie, Tommy,
Good. How are you?
Hey, you know, we were looking for you guys the other day in New York about the 16th inning.
Hey, we could have come in as backup, right? But how was that for you guys? 6.5 hours without stopping.
It was fun. We actually had a good time.
We had a good time. Rich was a little disappointed when he found out.
Tell them that I can't hear them.
He found out the 14th inning they shut down the Shake Shack.
Wow. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a quick moment. Cookie's having some difficulty here. I don't know why he's having a hard time listening to you guys.
Nope.
But since that's happening, I just wanted
A lot of people have.
just wanted to take a quick moment to wish my dad a happy birthday.
Very nice. Line drive to right. Tell Cookie we said hey and have a good show.
Cookie, dicen hey y que tengas un buen programa.
Well, the same with him. Let's see if we can score some runs right now, guys. And please, no 20 innings. Let's go 9 innings and win in 9. I think that would be the right way to do it.
And hope your dad has a happy birthday.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Derek Dietrich with a drive to right for the first out. Edeni Echeverria, Rob Brantley. Giovanni Gallardo has been sharp, just 3 hits.
There have been a few balls hit hard. Logan Morrison hit into that 3-6 double play at the ball hard. That ball was ripped by Dietrich.
Time now for the Wendy's. Now that's better. Last 4 games for Echeverria, 8 for 20. You see he was on a 1 for 21 going into that ball game in Philly.
You know, it's a long road, too. You and I talked to Tino Martinez a lot. And talking to Tino about Echeverria, he'll just say he's getting there. It's getting there. So he knows there are a lot of things that need to be done.
Counts 2-1. I think for Echeverria, the biggest challenge, in Tino's words, is identifying his pitch. And that's a great example of it. Here he is in a hitter's count at 2-1. And Gallardo fires a fastball on the outside part. Now for Etch, he can drive that ball to right center, but he's got to have that approach.
See, that actually is a good pitch for him. Pitch out over the plate. He had that approach to drive the ball into right center. And because of that, Gallardo busted him in with a real good fastball on the next pitch.
There's Tino Martinez, first-year hitting coach. Segura's had a lot of action out there at short.
2 outs. One of the fun things I'm going to give myself a homework assignment. I always enjoy talking to Perry Hill the next day after seeing a young shortstop that we haven't seen a lot of, and asking Perry what he thinks about the mechanics and the actions of Gene Segura. And I know it's just one game that he's watched, but he'll have an observation.
Segura, coming up in the Angels organization, actually played second, and a lot of that was because of his size. But he had such a great arm that when they moved him over to short, they found out he could play the heck out of shortstop.
And he has.
Rob Brantley now. Brantley bounced out back in the 3rd.
Boy, Gallardo breezing with just 64 pitches here in the 5th inning.
Hit hard. Weeks makes a terrific short hop pick on the backhand side, and he throws out Brantley, and Gallardo goes 1, 2, 3 here in the 5th. All Milwaukee. tonight. Sixth. You get the Duffy's deal from Duffy's Sports Grill. Catch a ride to the game for $40. Get a lower level ticket. Round trip motor coach transportation from Duffy's. A $10 Duffy's gift card. The next Duffy's deal game is Saturday. The Cardinals are here. It's a 4:10 start. Please note, 4:10 start. Go to marlins.com/Duffy's. For Ricky Nolasco, it's been a night of survival, just trying to survive the big inning. He's avoided a big inning. He gave up 2 in the first, single runs in the second and the third, and takes 94 pitches into the 6th inning. And to Nolasco's credit, here he is in the 6th inning. Juan Francisco, Giovanni Gallardo, and Norechika Aoki.
A crack SCHAFER chiming in and letting us know that Francisco also hit one in the upper deck against Ricky Nolasco. We saw the one against Alex Sanabia. Francisco came into the game 5 for 8 with that home run against Ricky. Ricky's made that pitch to him all night, though.
Yeah, that back foot breaking ball has struck Francisco out 3 times. All right, FP&L gives you the out-of-town scoreboard. And from around the league, we check in. Not much in the National League. That's the fog game right now. If you are switching around and you want to take a peek at a foggy game, Chicago's got it going on. Arizona, Los Angeles, Atlanta, San Diego. Rain has stopped it. Heavy rain has stopped the game in Baltimore in the American League. The Angels and the Orioles have been delayed by rain in the 6th. Breaking ball and a strike to Gallardo.
I think this is a game 2-3 years ago. Ricky's not pitching in the 6th inning. I think this shows how he's matured as a pitcher. He's learned how to get through periods where he doesn't have command, maybe doesn't have his best stuff. And here he is pitching in the 6th inning. And once again, doesn't have any support either.
Well, mentally, this has been a really challenging year for anybody in a Marlin uniform, especially a veteran like Nolasco. The Marlins offensively challenged, to say the least. And so a starting pitcher feels the brunt of that. Gallardo smacks one into left field. And Nolasco has handled that as well as anyone could have handled it. He's had some stressful innings, especially early in the ball game. Ricky's not complained. He's had to work with a young and very inexperienced catcher in Rob Brantley.
I think they've improved working together.
Here is Aoki. Doubled in the first, singled in the second, hit by a pitch in the fourth. We saw Aoki, even with that big elbow guard, when he got clipped in the elbow, wins in pain. How about I'm not sure which journalist or player or pitching coach lobbed this idea out there, but when I heard it, I thought, it sounds like something Tommy Hutton would embrace. If you wear an elbow pad or some big apparatus on your arm and you get hit by a pitch, you don't take first base. It's just a ball.
Then they'd have to incorporate instant replay, though, to determine if it actually hit the pad or the arm.
Well, that's coming, but
yeah.
I mean,
I don't mind that.
You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
All right.
They have to readjust Craig Biggio's on base percentage, though.
Segura on deck. Aoki has really set the table for the Brewers tonight. He's been on base all 3 times. And he's on base again. So that on base percentage up around 380 now. Fox Sports 1's coming. America's new 24-hour sports network. Fox Sports 1 will be your home for great live sports events. All the news and highlights you want, shows and specials that only Fox can bring you. Fox Sports 1. August 17th is when Fox Sports 1 arrives.
The one thing, Rich, and it's being contemplated in the dugout right now with Ricky over 100 pitches. But the one thing the Brewers, they're primarily a right-handed hitting team, no longer the Prince fielder that used to set in there. Ryan Webb gets loose. So when you make a move, and it maybe looks like as we're talking that Red's going to do that now, you can feel comfortable bringing in a right-hander. You've got Segura, you got Gomez, you got Ramirez, you got LUCROY. They're all right-handed hitters.
Miguel Olivo is going to come into the ball game behind the plate. And Mike Redmond will make a double switch. Rob Brantley comes out. That'll put Olivo in the 9 spot and put Brian Webb and whoever follows him for now in the 8 spot. And Nolasco, a rare off night for Nolasco. Here comes Webb. 4-0 Brewers. tonight. Any place we can send the Goodyear blimp? I mean, if things don't liven up here in the ballpark, can we maybe try to run it under the Rickenbacker Bridge?
That's a tough call there. I don't know if the fellas up there would be up for that one.
Okay, well, maybe something less ambitious. How about South Beach? Just, I mean, get right down South Beach.
That seems to be more desirable,
especially with those high-powered lenses. Here's Ryan Webb.
Well, what a job the bullpen did in New York. In those 2 games at Citi Field, the bullpen, or 7 of those innings by Kevin Slowey, but 17 innings, 10 hits, no runs, 18 strikeouts, and 7 walks.
Broken bat. Look out, Ryan Webb. Echeverria got one there, and he got 2 there. Stepped on the bag, makes a nice relay. Segura bounces into a double play. There's a little South Beach for you. Live shots on the Goodyear blimp. In Miami, Milwaukee has arrived for a 3-game series. And the Brewers have established that they can hit 4-0. 4 runs, 10 hits. And Giovanni Gallardo is reminding everybody of the pitcher he used to be. He's had a rough year this year. But tonight, Gallardo has shut the Marlins down on 3 hits. He gets Miguel Olivo, Juan Pierre, and Placido Polanco.
The other thing we told you, the fact that he came into this game 3-0 with a 1.59 ERA against the Marlins. So it's a comfortable matchup for him, always has been.
Olivo, when last we saw him, he was hitting a 2-run home run late in the day yesterday in New York. And the Marlins 8-4 win. Off of Robert Person. It sounded big, and it was big. Gallardo trying to elevate the fastball. On a night where Giancarlo Stanton is back, Logan Morrison in the lineup as well. All Gallardo has done is avoid trouble, scatter 3 singles, get 2 double play balls. Well, he's got 11 outs on the ground, 11 ground ball outs. Rick Kranitz told us the issues for Gallardo: fastball command and being able to spot that fastball on the inner or outer half of the plate. Olivo muscles one into center field, and Miami has their leadoff runner aboard. Pierre and Polanco now.
That's a pretty good pitch. It gets in on Olivo, but you and I know he's such a strong guy. He's able to muscle that just enough on the ground. Got a piece of the mound, but just out of the reach of Segura.
Now Pierre singled in the 3rd. Ed Lucas is on deck.
I wonder if anything happened to Polanco on that attempt to the pop fly when he was over on the railing near the dugout.
That's a real possibility.
Hate to speculate, but can't think of anything else.
Little tapper, one there. Brewers get the out at second, and here is Lucas. We'll try to get a report on Polanco. Polanco 2 years ago, of course, had the double hernia surgery and back injuries last year. And here's the play.
He's trying to hang on with one arm, and then he gets yanked pretty good by Brantley just to keep him out of the dugout. So possibly somewhere in that sequence caused Polanco to leave the game.
So Lucas, and he'll take a strike. It's 0-1. Well, they can't keep Ed Lucas out of the lineup, Tommy.
You just can't keep Ed Lucas out. He's been a treat. He's been fun to watch. Ed Lucas has 11 hits and 29 ABs, a .379 average.
Had 2 more hits yesterday. Gallardo pitches out. Ball and a strike. Now Gallardo has thrown 76 pitches. Pierre is running. The pitch is a strike, and the throw is not in time. We've talked about how Mike Redmond feels Ed Lucas is a very smart hitter. Lucas just gave up a strike to get Pierre that stolen base.
Well, for JP, number 17 on the year. The thing about Gallardo, you mentioned the pitch count. The last time he went more than 6 innings was back on April 29th. Went 7 innings against Pittsburgh.
Lucas has run the count now to 3-2. Giancarlo Stanton is on deck. Marlins would love to get the big bats up with guys on base. on a night where they've been unable to muster anything. They've had trouble even putting the ball in play in the air against Gallardo. It was a good example of a guy who's throwing a 4-hit shutout, and you would think his ball strike ratio would be dynamite. It's not. And I think that's because of what you talked about, in that his strikes are not unhittable, but really tough to hit. His strikes are turning into ground balls.
Yeah, and the other thing, when he's missed tonight, he's missed just by a little bit. He's had a lot of close calls, a lot of pitches that have been real close to the strike zone.
3-2 to Lucas. And Ed fights it off. Lower back stiffness from Polanco. Another 3-2.
We talked about Lucas, 11 hits, 29 ABs. But I tell you what, it seems like for the most part, he's also, even when he's made outs, has given a pitcher a tough time. He's given you a good at bat.
He's extended Gallardo a couple times here on 3-2. Well, Lucas protecting the plate, fighting off the low 90s fastballs. This is about to become a 10-pitch at bat. And Lucas lines it. Oh, leaping catch by Weeks, who robs Lucas of a hit and doubles off Pierre. Ricky Weeks is having a fabulous night with the bat and with the glove. He steals a hit and starts the third double play of the night for the Brewers. As this ball game has hit the top of the 7th, it's been all Milwaukee and all Ricky Weeks. 4-0 in the 7th. Let's check in with Craig Minervini.
Well, Rich, this is truly the bargain of the year here. These seats are all you can eat Mondays and all you can eat Saturdays. Great deal. Hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, peanuts, bottled water if you want to stay healthy, sodas, all for $22. Now this gentleman here, you took advantage of the opportunity.
I did. I only had the ice water and the soda cracker. Now I lost count after 6 dogs, brother.
Six
dogs, brother, and a couple of peanuts and a popcorn. I lost count, but right now I'm just enjoying the bottled water.
So that's a healthy finish there. You did well. $22 here, 32 over in the Silver Legend seats. Now this gentleman, I don't know if anybody beat him. How many hot dogs did you partake in, sir?
I had 10 hot dogs. It's about 3 nachos and 1 popcorn and 1 peanut.
10 hot dogs?
Yes. I came hungry. I had to get my money's worth.
He hasn't eaten in a week, I guess. No. When was the last time you ate before tonight?
Around 12 o'clock today.
Is that true, 10 hot dogs?
Yep, unfortunately.
All right, so you had nachos, peanuts. You were able to find room for that, too?
Yeah.
Did you go for the diet soda, at least?
No, I went with Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew. You can't go wrong.
Good deal, right?
Yeah, it is.
Really good deal, guys. As we have extra bases here, this is the one spot in the park where it's hard to see from my location, but it looks like it's going to be a triple. Guys, again, that's every Monday and every Saturday as well. All you can eat. $22 gets you the ticket and all the food, even up to 10 hot dogs for this gentleman. Back to you.
Well, the 3 nachos on top of the 10 hot dogs.
Yes.
Or maybe it was the hot dogs on top of the nachos. Not that it matters, but that was a triple in the corner by Carlos Gomez. There are a couple of Brewers having exceptional nights tonight. Gomez is one of them. He's 3 for 4, 2 RBI hits, and a triple. Ricky Weeks is the other. Weeks is 2 for 3 with a home run, an infield hit, and he's made some incredible plays in the field. There's a pop-up on the infield. Olivo is there, and he makes the catch. Maybe it's the fact that Weeks is a Florida guy, and his family is here. Parents in town to watch.
It's always nice to step it up a notch if you can. You can't always plan it that way, but when the folks are in town.
His mother Valeria on the right.
And by the way, the Brewers have a major league high 25 triples with that triple from Gomez.
Here's LUCROY, and he has swung the bat well tonight. He's 2 for 3. Well, the Brewers last year were 83 and 79, and remember that came off a record-setting year in 2011 when they won 96 games. So they're just 2 seasons removed from a franchise record in wins. And remember, in 2011, they won the division series. They beat Arizona 3-2, 3 games to 2. Liner into right, and that's a base hit. And now Milwaukee has stretched their lead to 5-0. Gomez scores. LUCROY has 3 hits and 2 RBIs.
They haven't missed Ryan Braun at all out of the lineup tonight. And that's kind of the way you like it as a manager. Ron Renicky knows his big bats out. He likes other guys to pick up the teammates, and guys like LUCROY and Gomez, they certainly have.
That was Ron Renicky's first year as the skipper back in 11. They lost in the National League Championship Series to the Cardinals 4 games to 2. But last year, 83 and 79.
Pretty much over the last few years, anything through that National League Central has had to go through St. Louis. And it's very, very similar again this year. The Cardinals will be in town this weekend. Cardinals with the most wins in the major leagues at 41 coming into tonight.
Cardinals have that terrific rotation. They've had to piece it together in the bullpen. Derek Lilliquist is their pitching coach, but the presence of Dave Duncan is still greatly felt in that locker room and on that pitching staff and bullpen for that matter.
And I also think, Rich, important the fact that Lilliquist was in the organization. He was in the minor leagues, pitching coordinator, and so even some of the young guys that have arrived are familiar with Derek Lilliquist.
I believe he was their bullpen coach for a few years as well. Into right, Stanton has to pick it up. LUCROY will stop. And another base hit by Logan SCHAFER. So the Brewers are heaping on runs and hits. And a 5-0 lead. Wednesday. Any Marlins Wednesday home game, you can save up to 60% with the Chevron Crazy 8 ticket offer. Fill up at a participating Chevron to get $8 home run porch or $18 home plate box tickets. Visit your local Chevron or Marlins.com/Chevron for details. Restrictions apply. Now it's Weeks. All right, Weeks night involved an infield hit in the first. His 5th home run of the season, a solo shot to third. He flied to center in the 5th.
You know, we talked about some of the years that Ricky Weeks has had, injury filled, a lot of time on the disabled list, ankle problems.
Into center field, Weeks. Ozuna up with the ball. Bags are loaded.
But Ricky Weeks' best year was in 2010. He was healthy, played 160 games, hit .269, had 29 home runs and 83 RBIs.
Here comes Juan Francisco.
Mom and Dad probably had some cheers at Mark Light for Jamal when he was playing for the Canes. I'm sure they saw many games there.
Francisco finally gets a hold of one. Ozuna out near the warning track. Both runners tagged. One of them scores. Six nothing. Juan Francisco, a sacrifice fly. So a couple runs here against Ryan Webb in the 7th. 14 hits for the Brewers. Edgar Olmos.
It's amazing with the 20-inning game, the 10-inning game. Edgar Olmos, the only pitcher we didn't see for the Marlins.
Fouled at the plate. If you're following college baseball, the Marlins first pick, the 6th overall pick, Colin Moran in North Carolina. They won the first game of their Super Regional. South Carolina came back and won the second. And tonight's game 3, the decider, has been pushed to tomorrow because of inclement weather. Noon tomorrow. It'll be on somewhere.
How about the boys from Indiana upsetting Florida State?
Yeah, that's a school that you don't associate with the College World Series or Omaha.
Hey, thinking basketball.
Swing and a miss. And Webb strikes out Gallardo. Another big inning, and the Brewers a 6-0 lead. Brewers on top. Here's the game summary brought to you by Auto Nation.
Well, I tell you what, a lot has happened offensively, but it's all been on the side of the Milwaukee Brewers. A little sloppy play early on, but they have gotten base hit after base hit in the second inning. Another RBI single by Carlos Gomez. He's had a 3-hit game. Produced a triple a little bit later. How about Ricky Weeks? Just a rocket into that Milwaukee bullpen. As we get to live action, as they say, here in the bottom of the 7th. But all offense has been supplied by the Brewers tonight.
Giancarlo Stanton, Marcell Ozuna, and Logan Morrison. That was the buzz around the ballpark, and the headline, that's a strike, says Lance Barksdale. The buzz around the ballpark and the headline coming into this one. Stanton is back, Morrison here too. Ozuna hitting 4th, and Giovanni Gallardo has come out and stolen the show. Chopper, Segura throws, and Stanton is out at first.
I think the other thing, Rich, with both Stanton and Morrison, Mike Redmond will be careful as to how he plays them. He's not going to play him 14 games in a row. He's going to have to pick his spots as to when to get somebody else in, when to sit them down, give them a little rest. Because he wants Stanton and Morrison in the lineup pretty much the rest of the year. You hope they both stay healthy.
Ozuna takes a strike. Gallardo still throwing hard.
Yeah, he's been right around 91 to 93.
Been a terrific night for Gallardo. Rick Kranitz, Brewers pitching coach, has to be pleased. Ron Renneke has to be pleased. That was the missing ingredient last year when the Brewers were such an offensive juggernaut. They hit 158 home runs. 158 stolen bases. They were first in the National League in home runs. They were first in the National League in runs. That was without Prince Fielder. But their earned run average overall was 13th in the National League. And their bullpen blew 29 saves. And the bullpen ERA was the worst in Major League Baseball. So the Brewers just couldn't pitch last year, coming off that Central Division championship in 2011.
And a lot of people were concerned, a lot of Brewer fans were concerned how their offense would be without the left-handed bat of Prince Fielder.
Well, pretty good.
They did just fine.
And their offense is actually doing well without Corey Hart, and now Braun with his thumb. His power numbers the last couple of weeks have taken a hit, and Ron Renneke has him out of the lineup. As we said, a couple of off days on this road trip. So this will be a test, I think. Ouch, that one, not only a strikeout, but Ozuna came back and popped LUCROY right in the helmet on his backswing.
One of the few times we've seen Ozuna chase a pitch this badly out of the strike zone. He's really done a nice job at identifying pitches, especially that breaking ball. That's one of the few times we've seen him chase.
And that's why you wear a helmet under your mask. The old school guys, I know. It's number 1,000 for Giovanni Gallardo.
A couple of innings ago, we knew he was getting close. So closing in on another pitcher from Mexico, Teddy Higuera.
Logan Morrison now. Cholula Hot Sauce Spotlight. Born in Kansas City. Maple Woods Community College. Pujols went there. Slidell, Louisiana as well. Morrison was raised. His father, of course, in the Coast Guard. He was a draft and follow guy. A later round pick. The Marlins selected him hoping that he would sign, and he did. He bounces out, and Gallardo cruises through the bottom of the 7th. tomorrow's starting pitchers, brought to you by Chevron. Willie Peralta, Jacob Turner. Peralta 4-7. Turner coming off a terrific start, looking for win number 2.
And there's a look at Edgar Olmos getting an opportunity here. We saw him. What a dramatic way to make your major league debut. In Philadelphia, came in with the bases loaded. All he had to do was face Ryan Howard and retired him on a ground ball.
Olmos family coming out from Southern California and enjoying both Philadelphia and New York City.
What a great time for a family. And I'm sure they enjoyed themselves. I know Edgar told me they had the great off day in New York. Saw most of the sites, Central Park, Empire State Building. So now here he is, another outing, this time against the Brewers.
Norichika Aoki has been a tough out. In fact, the Marlins have yet to get him out. Almost pours in a strike. Aoki has doubled, singled, hit by a pitch, and walked. Ball on a strike here. Top 8. And a fastball that buzzes in on Aoki. Aoki won all the awards you can win over in Japan. 7 times on the best 9, which is sort of the best of the best of both leagues over in Japan. 6 times he won the Gold Glove.
Don't they call it the Golden Glove?
You know, I saw a note which is hard to believe, and we need to get the crack staff on this because I really felt this was a misprint. It said he was the only Japanese player to have 2 200-hit seasons in his career. And I would have thought
we might have to do a little research on Ichiro.
I would have thought Ichiro would have had a couple of 200-hit seasons. But
maybe
remember,
maybe Shinju.
Shinjo, yes. Or Shinju, you never know. He may have had it along the way too. But remember, in Japan, the season is usually, what, 142, 144 games?
Yeah, their season is not 162 games.
It's got to be a misprint. Ichiro had to have more than 200 hits in a season over there, more than twice. Gene Segura, speaking of hits, has his first. Of all the Brewers not to have a hit, I mean, Segura is the guy who's the hit king.
Guy leading the National League with 83. He has 84 now.
And that's his first of the ball game.
This is a guy that's been on fire.
And Carlos Gomez, 3 hits tonight. 2 have driven in runs. The other was a triple.
We kind of mentioned it, different circumstances, because it was in a different ballpark in Philadelphia. But we mentioned it then. Right now, until things start clicking a little bit, tough for the Marlins to go up against a power hitting team.
Nice turn by Echeverria. Almost gets a double play. And Edgar almost works a scoreless 8th inning. It has been all Milwaukee. You can see right from the get-go against Ricky Nolasco. 2 first-inning runs, 6 total on 15 hits. Our poll results, Harry Doyle, without a question, is the favorite Bob Uecker role.
We have a few Mr. Belvedere fans out there.
Boy, they would have voted for Alf as well.
Bob Uecker entering his 43rd year behind the mic with the Brewers.
That is amazing. Here's Dietrich. And he pulls a ground ball off the glove of Francisco. Weeks throws and out at first base. Dietrich didn't like the call. And there's Weeks right in the middle of a nice play again.
Well, Francisco not the smoothest, the first baseman. This ball kicks off the heel of his glove, but yeah, you know, when you're having a good night, you just seem to be in the right spot all the time. It's a real close play. The throw to Gallardo, it's pretty much bang, bang. Let's see. He got him. He got him. Good call by the first base ump, Lance Barrett.
Just a little bit of housekeeping. That stat must have been correct because I pulled up Ichiro's numbers from Japan. He had just 1 200-hit season.
That was nice. What was his lifetime average in Japan?
Oh, that I don't have.
Oh, it's not there? I'm sorry.
No, it's just this site has all of his numbers from every league. He had a couple years where he hit close to 400. The year he had 210 hits, he hit 385. His last year there, he hit 387 with the Oryx Blue Wave. So Aoki is the only player in Japan history to have 2 200-plus hit seasons.
And having a good night tonight.
Echeverria gets into one and drives it to right center field. That ball's deep. Aoki reaches up, and that is how you win the Golden Glove in Japan.
I'll tell you what, the Brewers have made some outstanding defensive plays. They've turned some double plays. Have been some balls hit hard. And it's just a little topping on the cake with that catch by Aoki in right field. That ball was hit well by Echeverria and hit the way you want him to, driving it the other way hard. This is a spot in the order when Mike Redmond made the double switch where the pitcher's hitting, so Greg Dobbs hitting for Edgar Olmos.
Dobbs gets the at-bat. Gallardo still out there. 102 pitches now with a breaking ball that misses up.
You know, just in case you were wondering, Gallardo lifetime. By the way, this is his longest outing of the year. But lifetime, he's thrown 4 complete games. Not a lot for a guy who's pretty much been their ace, and has 3 career shutouts.
Dobbs swings and misses. We talked about the fog at Wrigley Field. That game is still going. The Reds have a 5-0 lead in the fog at Wrigley. Down on the south side, they've actually had to delay the game because of fog. Toronto and the White Sox, 4-2 White Sox over Toronto. That's delayed in the 3rd. The funny thing is, in watching the video from both ballparks, on television, the fog looked a lot worse at Wrigley than it did at U.S. Cellular Field.
It did.
But they've delayed it at U.S. Cellular. 2-2 to Dobbs.
And as soon as that fog's out of there, Hawk Harrelson will say, he gone.
Well, the White Sox lead the Blue Jays 4-2. Dobbs turns on one, fouls it.
Yeah, you think and we've talked about this before, with all the playing time, all the games that Greg Dobbs started. Here we are at this point of the season. He's looking for his first pinch hit, but only 6 pinch hit at bats.
Marlins have just 4 hits all night against Gallardo. Dobbs off the end of the bat, shoots it out to short. Segura's been solid all night. And yet another ground ball out on a terrific night by Giovanni Gallardo. He goes 8 innings, and on 4 hits, he has shut out Miami. MLB.com at bat, the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10 at bat. Delivers Marlins baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or go to Marlins.com for details.
Well, from one young left-hander, Edgar Olmos to another, Dan Jennings. Jennings will work here in the top of the 9th inning.
This was a Ricky Nolasco start for the Fish tonight. And Nolasco, though he didn't have his best stuff, was able to at least get into the 6th inning. Ricky surrendered 4 runs on 10 hits. Jeff Bianchi is up there right now for the Brewers. Bianchi getting the at-bat here in the top of the 9th. And in the bullpen, Donovan Hand. Relation to Brad Hand or Mr. Hand.
Talked to our good friend Burke Badenhop before the game. He's in that bullpen for the Brewers. Dan Jennings selected in the 9th round. There's the hopper.
See that you can't be a Brewer pitcher if you don't have big time facial hair. So the hopper has gone with the bearded look. It's sort of the Paul Bunyan type.
Well, it helps if you ever want to go with the weave, too.
I wonder if Milwaukee, on their pregame show, has been able to revive that ever popular game show, Stump the Hopper.
Good fastball.
And Bianchi goes down swinging.
Dan Jennings, a 9th round draft pick. Here we are in the week or so just following the amateur draft. Drafted in the 9th round back in 2008. So he's made his way through the Marlins organization.
Out of Nebraska, a Cornhusker.
And you know, with the exception of his very first year, he's always worked out of the bullpen. He had 13 starts back in 08 in Jamestown. Other than that, he's worked out of the bullpen.
Liner to right, LUCROY, he's got another hit. Into the corner it goes. Jonathan LUCROY with his 4th hit. This is a double. He's 4 for 5. And the Brewers have busted out on a big night with 16 hits.
Well, you talked about the 5-hit game with a couple of home runs that he had in Philadelphia. It's amazing to have a 5-hit game. He's hitting .254 coming into this game, but that certainly has rocketed up after his 4-hit performance here. .16 hits ties a season high. They had 16 hits. The Brewers did against Arizona earlier this year.
Logan SCHAFER now. And a strike from Jennings. And they're still playing at Wrigley. Reds a 5-0 lead over the Cubs. Still delayed on the south side by fog. 4-2 White Sox over Toronto. Little pop. Echeverria out. And he makes the catch. So SCHAFER's out. Jennings has a couple. And one of the stars of the night for the Brewers is coming up, Ricky Weeks.
They're still delayed in Baltimore, too. That's not fog, though. I think that's rain.
No, that's rain with frogs coming down. That was so thick and messy. Atlanta out on the West Coast in San Diego, where the Braves bring a 39-24 record into play.
It's amazing how the Braves just keep finding ways, certain hitters. I mean, you look at their lineup, they have 3 hitters hitting below 200. Jason Hayward, B.J. Upton, Dan Uggla. But Uggla hit a couple of home runs last night. One night it's this guy, one night it's that guy, and they've got some tremendous pitching, too.
And they have the 2nd best record in baseball. St. Louis at 41-22. And the Cardinals are coming here this weekend. Weeks to right. Stanton is there. Miami down to the last 3 outs, trying to avoid a shutout. 6-0 Milwaukee. Siding, and a lot of happy cheeseheads tonight. 6-0. Milwaukee on top. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine on Marlins Live, presented by Checkers. There they are, waving. Niner on his phone right now, probably getting the inside on tonight's game, and maybe the inside. Save it. That is coming up. You got that to look forward to, which is nice. Bianchi stays in the ball game. He's at third base. And Donovan Hand.
Well, we're not going to see Gallardo, who wasn't quite at his pitch count high this year, but certainly Ron Renicky knows it's a long season. I'm sure Gallardo would have liked to close things out for a complete game and a shutout, but they turned it over to Donovan Hand. Kind of a max effort delivery type guy.
You are so right, Tommy. Olivo bangs one off his foot. Jacksonville State University. Where Hand went to school. He's out of Alabama. Hatton, Alabama. Been in the Brewers organization since 2007. And this year he's made his major league debut.
You know, they've kind of mixed and matched a little bit in their bullpen this year. Some early struggles of John Axford, their closer. He's not in that role now, but actually pitching pretty well.
Yeah, Axford had a really rough first 10 days of the season. Olivo pulls it foul. Jim Henderson then filled the role as closer. He went on the disabled list, and lo and behold, Francisco Rodriguez was back in the role of closer.
You know, talking about complete games, the Marlins have had 6 different pitchers throw complete games against them this year.
Big breaking ball, and Olivo swings and misses. So 1 for 2 night for Olivo, who came in a double switch.
Got a little bit of a hanger, but it got far enough away.
Pierre now with Lucas on deck. The Marlins have lost, at least for the night, Placido Polanco with the lower back stiffness. Polanco laid out and was stretched out over the rail trying to make a catch on a pop-up in the Marlins dugout. Liner into right field, in the gap. If it gets to the wall, it's probably 3. And Pierre never breaks stride, and he's got himself a triple.
That, believe it or not, JP's first triple of the year. But another 2-hit night with a base hit in the 3rd inning. He extended his hitting streak to 7 games and just keeps on laying out some line drives.
Active leaders. Pierre now with 93 triples. Ed Lucas now with 1 out. Lucas takes a strike. Miami a chance to get on the board. Lucas was robbed of a hit on a leaping catch by Ricky Weeks. One of the many terrific defensive plays that Weeks has had tonight.
And the Marlins trying to avoid being shut out for the 10th time this year.
Yikes. So the Marlins have lost 44 games, and 9 of those they've been shut out.
Well, we talked about it too. Unless they can mount a little bit of a rally here, this will be game number 36 of 2 runs or less.
Win or lose.
Win or lose.
Mostly lose.
Hey, they won a 20-inning game, 2-1. And had all singles. All the base hits for the Marlins in that 20-inning game were singles. That's why it's important to get a healthy Stanton, a healthy Logan Morrison settled into this lineup.
Three and 1 to Lucas. Giancarlo Stanton on deck. He's 1 for 3. Lucas a chopper to third. Run comes home. And Bianchi's throw to first gets Lucas. And the crowd, a bit of a sarcastic cheer. The Marlins have finally put a run across.
You know what? If that same scenario was out there and Gallardo was working on the shutout, Bianchi would have gone to the plate.
But the one thing, if you watch that play again, one of the things Pierre did, and it's terrific base running, immediately Pierre took the inside track. Watch where he runs once he knows the ball's at third. See him go to the inside just to block the throw to the plate. Just a subtle thing in case the throw was coming home. Now Stanton, 2 grounders to short, 1 sharp shot into center for a base hit. Breaking ball way out in front.
Overall, I think he's looked pretty good for his 3 previous at-bats.
I'll tell you, the thing that's impressed me is he's looked pretty good in right field, and that's always for Stanton, whether it's an injury in spring training or a spell where he hasn't played because of getting nicked up during the course of the season. It always seems that the defense takes a bigger hit than the offense. But he was tested early on some plays, and he played them quite well.
His arm strength looked good when he got the balls and threw them back into the infield.
Well, Hand got the strike on the breaking ball, and he's dumped a couple in the dirt. Here's what 2-2 brings. Right down the middle of fastball. Donovan Hand finishes the night. Giovanni Gallardo was splendid in 8 shutout innings. And the Brewers beat the Marlins 6-1 in the first of 3. Ricky Weeks enjoying his night back in his home state with the family in the house. Weeks with a homer, 3 hits, and great defense.